Want to go ahead and call the meeting to order? Jake?
I will go ahead as well and call the meeting to order.
All right, and with that, we're going to read the remote participation due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic in accordance with Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. Public bodies otherwise governed by the OML are temporarily relieved from the requirement that meetings be held in public places, open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberations through adequate and alternative means. This meeting will be live on Zoom. Now, for additional information about remote participation, please contact Alicia Hershey at ahershey@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220, extension 142 prior to the meeting. Okay.
Janet,
Yes.
well, I had another sentence on my
Oh,
statement.
okay. I didn't know whether or not go through all that. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may participate remotely by joining Zoom meeting number ID 813-1083-0610 or by calling 929-205.
Maybe could you do the minutes?
99.
Do the minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
James, can you
Yeah.
put yourself on mute?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks. All right, 929-205-6099. All right, so I'm gonna again call the meeting to order. Everybody get the copy of the agenda? Does
Yes.
anybody have any corrections or updates or additions that they would like to make to the agenda? No, I'm seeing people shaking their heads now. All right, can I get a motion to accept the agenda as written, please?
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor, and since we're on Zoom, we've got to go ahead and do a roll call. Sean?
Aye.
Cindy? Ron?
Aye.
Ken?
Aye.
Colleen?
Aye.
James?
Aye.
Jake?
Aye.
And the chair says aye, so it's been approved. All right, for the committee members, I'm just going to go ahead and take over. We do have, oh, no, for the trust members. Jake, do you want to have your team approve the minutes for September 15th?
I have a correction to make on them.
Okay,
I had Sean listed as being there and also as not being there. So I just need to remove him from the being there category.
I make a motion to approve the minutes with that adjustment.
Thank you.
Second.
okay. Jake, you have to
Gotta
go
call
ahead.
for,
Yeah.
Jake, you need to call for a roll call vote for,
Thank you. Can we call for a roll call vote on the motion, please?
say our names.
James, say aye.
All right. Cindy,
Aye.
James,
Aye.
Colleen,
Aye.
who else do I have?
Sean.
I'm sorry, who else? Sean?
Sean, yep.
Yep,
And,
Sean.
since I wasn't there, I will abstain from voting.
Okay.
And
Jake,
then,
And
then
you,
do yourself as well.
Yep. And then I say approve as well.
Perfect.
All
Okay.
right. It's been
Great.
passed as amended. Excellent. All right, and moving on to the committee itself, we have 2 minutes to approve. One is from June 30th. Does anybody have any corrections, any edits? I didn't see anything.
I'm good.
All right. Can I hear a motion then to go ahead and accept the minutes as written?
Make a motion that the minutes be accepted as written.
Second.
Right? All in favor? Ron,
Aye.
James,
Aye.
Ken,
Aye.
and chair says aye, so it's been passed. The minutes for June 30th have been approved. And the next one is August 6th. Again, I did not see any corrections or anything like that. Anybody else? See anything? I'm hearing crickets, so with that, can I hear a motion to accept the minutes as written?
So move.
Second.
All right. Let me go ahead and do the roll call. Ken,
Aye.
Ron,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
right? The chair says aye, so they have been approved. All right, Alicia, woo! You get to
Thank
go
you,
ahead.
everyone. We're trying to get all caught up on minutes online so that people can see them. So I appreciate you doing all that.
All right,
Appreciate that
Now-
you wrote it up.
Do me a favor, guys, when you move or when you second, say your name. I don't know all your voices.
Oh,
Thanks.
okay. All right, now we're moving on to public comment and questions. I'm going to pause here for a minute. Hi, Pat. Hopefully it was successful. We just went through the agenda and the minutes. Okay. All right, again, I'm going to pause right now and look for public comment and questions. This is the joint meeting of the Affordable Housing Committee and the Housing Trust Board of Trustees. Do we have anybody online who may have any type of questions for the committee or the Housing Trust? Always remember that if you do have any type of questions when you're reviewing this video, you can always give a call to Alicia Hershey. The phone number is on the agenda, as well as email her or email myself or Jake. Jake is the chairman for the Housing Trust Board of Trustees, and I am the chairman of the Affordable Housing Committee. Okay, there being none, I'm just going to move on. Right now, we've got the Housing Trust members, Cindy and Jake. If you want to give us an update with regards to your discussion with Senator Eldridge.
Certainly. Cindy, would you like to lead this conversation? I don't mind letting you take the mic on that.
Okay, sure. Well, we had an immediate response to the letter that we sent to Senator Eldridge's office. We had no response from the representatives. We sent it to them jointly, but they may have just been deferring to him. I really don't know, because I haven't spoken to them. But he wanted to set up a meeting immediately, which was, I thought, pretty good. We had a Zoom meeting planned, and Jake came over and we were there and we were waiting and we sat for 2 hours and it never happened. And it ended up that his admin had neglected to put him in the meeting. So since we weren't able to have that meeting with him, I just went directly to him through private messaging and it just kind of reiterated what we had said in the letter, which you all got a copy of, or at least the trust got a copy of. And he was lukewarm at best about being able to, thinking that he might be able to get any money from the state budget committee, but he did agree that he would go and do that. And when I spoke to him last, which was at Devon's Crest meeting a week ago, he indicated that he had gone to before the budget committee, and it was like that it's a no-go. They're not going to, they consider it to be an air problem. And so I sort of asked, well, what are all these funds that you were talking about at the Devon's Crest meetings? What are all these state and federal funds? And he said, well, they're federal, they're not state. State is, they only give them to different programs and, you know, nonprofits and stuff like that. They don't give money to towns. So it was not satisfying, but I don't really know. I didn't want to go any further without direction from the rest of the trust. You know, I was very tempted to say a few more things, but, you know, not without your all's approval, because at this point, Jake wasn't involved in that either. This was personal back and forth. Questions, comments?
Did Cindy, in your private conversation with him or whatever, so he said these are federal funds, right? Did he
Yeah.
indicate that as a state senator, he would be able to assist Ayer in navigating that process, or make any recommendation to like loop in Congresswoman Trahan, or like how would he suggest going about that?
He did not give me any specifics, and that's what I wanted to wait and find out what y'all wanted me to do before I pulled ahead and did it. You know, I believe in asking for forgiveness rather than permission, but in cases like this, I think it's better to have, you know, to know what you all want. I kind of left it with him that perhaps he could come and could talk to the residents of Devon's Crest about federal funds that would be available to them. And it would really have nothing to do with us. It wouldn't have anything to do with the trust or the committee, other than the fact that we sort of set it up and, you know, got the ball rolling. So
I have a question, and it sounds as though, is he saying that in Devon's Crest, if it's a nonprofit organization embodied within there, they would have a better chance going for the federal funds?
yes, and interestingly enough, that's exactly one of the avenues that one of the groups, the tenants group, is taking. They're looking at a couple of nonprofits. And so that's why I want to stay on this, and I want to push him, with your permission, I want to push him to be speaking with them. But I think we may be out of the loop. Alicia?
I just wanted to make sure everybody was on the understanding that this was requesting funds to help families that might need to relocate and that could not afford the higher rents. This wasn't funds to purchase Devon's Crest or any of that sort of
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, I'm sorry. I
Yep.
think the trust knows that. Maybe some people on the committee may not know
Yes,
that this was looking for additional funds for our trust fund, because the money that we have now being CPA funds from Ayer has to be used in Ayer. And we know that a lot of the people in Devon's Crest are going to have to move out of there. So we were looking for some money to be able to help them, so we wouldn't have to worry about where, you know, where they were going to settle. We would have these funds, and it just seems to be a non-starter, unfortunately. Thought it was a great idea.
Well, now, is Devon Crest aware they have to be the driving force, even though we can assist them in any way we can, but they'll have to be the driver in this?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think they're pretty aware of that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Janet,
Yeah, Ken?
Cindy, this may have already been asked, but did he give you any idea when he just said federal funds, what type of funds they are, where they fall?
No.
My understanding, Sean can verify this, and Alicia maybe, that federal funds always go back through a state agency to be distributed. They don't go from the federal right to the towns. Don't they typically go to a state, to the state, and then the state puts it into the distribution network of sorts to get it
Correct.
down to
That's what
Yeah.
I would have thought.
the,
No,
so-
you're absolutely correct. And I think it's, again, it's like it's not a, not a town or our board or committee asking the federal government. It's the state asking the federal government for these funds.
Mhm.
So again, it's,
Okay, I mean, it's complicated, I guess, is the answer.
absolutely, yeah.
Well,
Lisa?
apparently I need to talk with him again. Do I have permission to do that?
I'm not on the trust, but I'd give you permission in a minute.
Yep.
Yeah, I also think it's a good idea for you to talk to him because it doesn't seem like, just to get a good understanding is what we're looking for.
So it's an interesting thing because they keep saying that they're putting all the housing money into the RAFT program, which is the RCAP Solutions program,
okay.
and the Mass Central Housing Program, which is that $8,000, $4,000 to $8,000 to move for people to move. But we had other COVID money, and we asked if we could put some of it into our housing trust for rental assistance, and they said no, everybody has to go through these avenues. So as much as they're giving lip service to this, and they are putting it in these avenues, but a lot of people have had trouble getting through the hoops on these avenues, and we offered to run a program and they said no, because Alan and I have worked on that and we keep getting turned down by the state. They say, no, they got to go through these programs. So
And I think on top of that, Alicia, what's very disheartening is that people keep hearing over and over in the media that there's like $1 billion worth of rental assistance in Massachusetts, but it doesn't seem to be getting to anybody.
That's
Yes,
exactly what I asked him is, there's all these funds that you keep talking about. Where are they? How do we get them? How can we get them for these people? And, he said, oh, RCAP.
is he willing to sit down and put liaisons from his office? Because one of the things that he did was at the first meeting, he said, call my office. And then when I called his office on his office number, it just directed me to go to his website and send him an email. So,
I have his number.
well, one of the things you might ask him is if these housing funds are through RCAP, then would he be willing to set up, assistance to see that people get somewhere with that? It's just a thought. Sorry.
No, it's good. I'm writing it down. I that wasn't crickets. That was me writing.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree. I'd like to see a little more pushback for some answers as to how, if we have thoughts on a mechanism to help these people, and there's all this money out there, but yet the systems that are there aren't working. Yeah, can they provide us a little more information on how to help that or step up to the plate? So yeah, I'd love to see more conversations with him.
Okay. Well, I mean, should Jake and I go back to the drawing board and try to just talk with him privately again, or should we ask him to come to one of our meetings? Or, I mean, he does come to some of the Devon's Crest meetings. I've seen him at quite a few of them.
What is so when he comes to these Devon's Crest meetings with the Tenants Association, what is he telling them? Like, what's his suggestion, or because like Alicia said, if the town has already tried to like subvert these other avenues with RCAP and try to create a program that's going to be more easily accessible, but we're not allowed to, then really him and Dan and Sheila are the people who need to make this happen, or need to help us make it happen.
Well, the last meeting, most of the meetings that are going on now are the Tenants Association, and they are not looking for moving funds. This is the wrong group to be talking about this with, okay? So I did not bring it up. And I mentioned it sort of in passing just to let them know that this was happening, but that was not the focus of their meeting. So the things that he was talking about at the meeting had nothing to do with this. And I'd really rather not be talking about that online, what they
Okay.
were doing, because
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's their strategy. They were with they were with legal aid, and they have, certain things that they're trying to do. And
Yeah,
that was
and that's totally fair and absolutely. And yeah, definitely. I just was wondering, like, for those, if there were some that were planning on moving, like what his suggestions were to them. But I get what you're saying.
we did
Respect
not
that.
discuss it. It was the wrong venue to discuss it. I was hoping to be able to talk to him afterward, but things got too late, and it just happened. So I didn't even know he was going to be there until late that afternoon. I would have called somebody or tried to do something, but it's always sort of a surprise to me who shows up at these meetings. I just open the door and it happens. So,
Oh,
I think it would be a great idea if we didn't, ask him to come to one of our meetings, so that he could see on how concerned, the groups are, of trying to find alternative monies that are out there, to assist these individuals. Because even if they did get RCAP, again, that's just first, last, security deposit, and possible moving costs. That $8,000 isn't really going to take people who have just, went ahead and moved, and now they may have a higher, rental and such. So this request for monies were to go ahead and allow people a little more assistance throughout possibly the whole next year, like say for 12 months. So I think it would be good, because no matter what, we're going to need that.
like what James had said at the last meeting, which the committee wasn't part of, but it was very smart. He said, we cannot set people up for failure. We can't give them moving expenses first and last and then go, okay, bye, you're another town's problem now. We want everybody to succeed. So, well, I thought it was an idea anyway.
How about the committee members? So do you think, like, we can go ahead and send in that request for him to come to one of our meetings and then make it be a joint meeting?
Well, if you think it'll be beneficial, I don't know if you keep putting too many demands on him, he's gonna get busy all of a sudden. I wouldn't want to overdo it, given that he is communicating. So I don't know what he would bring to the full committee, any more information that he's given Sydney. So I don't know. It's hard for me to decide. I would not want to push the guy because he is responding. And we all know what happens when you put too much on those guys. They get busy all of a sudden.
Janet.
Yeah.
Can I ask Cindy a question? And this may be so obviously, are we certain, I guess I'll ask the trust this question. I know the trust proposed this idea, which I think is a great idea. Are we certain that there is a method, any kind of method, state or federal method, that funds can go from an agency to the trust?
No.
We're not sure of that either.
No.
So we're really trying to get an answer first that can happen, that there is a method that the trust can accept the money. Then once the trust has the money, the trust can decide how to distribute the money.
Yeah.
So we're really at the very earliest stages of just trying to make a provision that there's a way to get it to the trust.
And I just want to make it really clear that he's been really responsive. The fact that we didn't have the meeting was not his fault. He followed up with me almost immediately when I contacted him. And I don't want it sounding like, I'm bad mouthing him. I'm not. I feel like he's been as helpful as he can be. But I'm just not getting the answer to that type of question.
Okay.
Colleen?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I personally would be in favor of having him come to one of our meetings, because it seems like that might be the best avenue to get as many questions answered in one sitting, as opposed to, more back and forth, and, again, having him then feel like it's a drain on his time. So kind of feel like a meeting where everybody can ask the questions that need to be asked and we can figure out what's possible, what's not possible, I think that might be the most efficient way to move forward.
Mhm.
I think we just invite him, period. Not even mention Devon's Crest, quite frankly. Just to have him talk to this group. After all, we're involved with affordable housing. Give us some ideas as to where do general funds come from for this, these types of issues, but not to necessarily make him feel like he's walking into a pro
Oh, no.
Devon's Crest type thing.
No.
That makes good sense to me.
Yeah, then he will get busy.
Because we are looking for as much information as we
I
can.
would too.
Okay.
Which I think is a legitimate invitation. Put aside Devon's Crest.
Mhm.
I mean, I think it would help us as a group to understand more how does a government official work within this whole equation.
And I believe that is also one of his committees that he's on, right? Is
Yes.
on a state level is about affordable housing. So
Yeah.
it fits in with the purpose of our committee and our trust.
Yeah, or even invite some, and if you can't come, invite someone else that has the same type of answers from another district, perhaps, not necessarily a district, but someone who understands the process.
Was that a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
All
Make it
right,
a motion.
you're going to make a motion to go ahead and send out a request to Senator Eldridge to attend one of our meetings so that he can give us a little more information about how these funds are being distributed and how we might be able to tap it. Tap those
Right,
funds.
or send a representative.
Okay.
Mhm.
That way, he's got to send somebody.
I second.
All right. All in favor? Go
I'd
ahead.
like to, just a comment. So I agree
Right.
with the motion, but I want to say you could almost preface the invitation by saying we in the town of Ayer, pretty much like many other towns in the state, are in an affordable housing crisis. And because we're in this crisis, could you, figure a way to give us more assistance? Try to preface it that way, just, adding to the invitation, the emphasis on the crisis, the affordable housing crisis. That's just a suggestion.
And it's true. It's not all about Devon's Crest. I mean, that's kind of front and center for all of us right now. It hurts
Right.
our hearts, but yeah, I'd like to know, besides going back and tapping CPA every year, year after year, what else can we do? Where else can we go? I've got no clue. This is way out of my wheelhouse. So,
I
and
think it's
Jamie's a very straight shooter. He's very, I feel good. Anyway, sorry.
That sounds good. All right, so any other comments before I take it to a full vote? Okay, I'm going to go through Pat.
Pat's talking.
Yeah, no, Pat, take you off of my mute. Pat needs to be off of mute.
Okay, sorry, I'm new at this. Would it be worth putting in the letter that not just Senator Eldridge, but anyone who's on the state affordable housing committee that could maybe guide us?
Yeah.
So we're not laying everything on him where he's already coming to Devon's Crest meetings and such. I don't know. Is it worth asking anyone from the team to come?
I think we need to be specific, because if you leave it too open, no one gonna show up. But I think if we are able to communicate with him, I think we should continue up until he stopped being willing
Okay.
to meet with us.
Okay.
I think, the way that the discussion's been going is, to see whether or not Jamie would like to, participate in the meeting. If not, send a representative from the affordable, housing, or, from his housing team to go ahead and discuss and lay it out in the letter of exactly what we're trying to find out is ways to go ahead and get these monies that are available. So I think if we, preface it with that, I think that helps out.
Agreed.
All right, any other discussions? Okay, let me go ahead and take a roll call. Pat? You agree?
For it.
Aye. Okay, James,
Yes.
Colleen,
Aye.
Ken,
Aye.
Ron,
Yes,
Cindy,
Aye.
Sean,
Aye.
Jake?
Aye.
All right, and committee chairman says aye, so the group has gone ahead. Before I do that too, I mean, we're gonna go ahead and go through it. I know that we do have other individuals from the public. Any other comments from the public? All right, hearing none, that'd be great. So what we can do is, as we figure out when are gonna be our next meeting, we can send that invitation. All right, because we'll have, like I say, quite possibly another joint meeting. All right, moving on. We've got, Alicia has put together, unless, all right, yeah, I'm moving on with the agenda, that we've got the air rental assistance guidelines, review the draft of the rental guidelines.
I'm
Alicia
so
sent,
sorry that I didn't get them to you sooner. So I don't know who got a chance to read them.
well, that's why if you want to, we can go ahead and review it. I think, let's see, Jake, I don't know if you want to take it from here because this will be the guidelines that the Board of Trustees will be looking at to go ahead and deliver the $500 a month for a year to possibly,
Yep, I'm just looking through here. I'm looking to get my notes out. Where can I find a copy of these guidelines? Are they
Jake,
Alicia.
I sent an email at the end, about 3 o'clock today, and
okay?
it has a copy of those in there. So it should be in your email. So for anybody who didn't get my email, they've got all the minutes and a copy of these.
I can also too share the document.
Nope,
Oh,
I
that's-
found it. I have it right here.
Can you all see it?
Is this the new ones that I sent out to at 3?
Well, this is the one that's at 3, but however, I'm noticing that it still had the same paragraph as the other one.
Oh, because Alan and I changed that a little
Oh.
bit.
No, take that back, it doesn't. Yeah, the
Okay.
background and summary is updated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I say, that would have been great if that was more of a table, but,
There's a couple ways we can do this, Jake. I can go through the outlines of the program and we can come back and read them. How many people were able to look through these beforehand?
I was not.
I was.
I was able
I
to.
was not.
I was not able to look through this at all.
Okay. So where do you want to go with this? You want me to outline what I've done here?
Certainly, yeah, you can kind of show us what you've outlined and then we can go over some further discussion.
So one of the things that Janet and I had talked about was that background and summary. The numbers are shocking with how just a second, I'm thinking about what the rent burdened people are in Ayer. Where as far as the state even compares or other towns, we really have some shocking numbers. So Alan and I put that together in that paragraph, and it's worth a quick read. But and when you go to our senior population, the number is something like 76% of our seniors are rent burdened unless they're in subsidized housing. So those are crazy high numbers. and the disturbing numbers. So that's the basis for why we feel we need this program. And so that was just outlining what this program is, and it's about trying to help people who are rent burdened.
Can I
Now,
pitch you something quickly, Alicia?
excuse
The reference I think you're making to on the elderly, you said it was renters.
yes,
The last sentence doesn't say that. And most concerning, I think it says elderly non-family households that are cost burdened. So would you need to clarify that it's
yeah,
renters that are
Alan wrote this, Alan wrote a lot of this paragraph. He did a deep dive into those numbers when we were doing the fire station. So and I had put the numbers in from an old document, and then we were going through them today and we updated a few of them, but we can just verify all that we've got it written properly and we're covering everything.
Alicia, could I also ask, so when this document is complete, who is the intended audience? Is it going to be people that are applying? They would see this
will go
entire
out to
thing?
everybody. This will go out to everybody. And one of my questions is, do we need to take this to town meeting? Do we need to take this to the select board? Or is this something that the trust can just vote on and design this program? And those are some of the questions that that we have for the trust. What is the process here? I am trying to get it out as soon as I can, because I actually think, even though it's only 5 families, it's 5 families that could really use this now, not later. And so I've got it coming on board that we would actually advertise it by November 1st, because Boxford Borough advertised it for 2 months, and I've got it advertised for 45 days, thinking we could maybe get it on board for January 1st, but that's probably not realistic. That's me being just totally optimistic.
So
And
my,
those are
so my only suggestion for this background and summary section is if that paragraph could be put into text only. It's a bit wonky with all the numbers in there. And, as people who read documents we're a bit nerdy and understand it. If it could be put into more layman's terms, and then perhaps the numbers and percentages could be put as like a footnote,
okay.
it might be a bit more helpful.
I'm on board with what John said, but I'm not sure you even need that first paragraph. Why can't you go right into the objective?
We were just trying to give people for a person who's wonky and loves numbers, that's probably what you're getting is, but we'll just cut it down, give you some very basic numbers, and then say what we need, the objective.
I mean, what you could also do is, put it in as an appendix so that
Oh,
people
yes.
who do want to see the numbers. Again, what Ken and Sean said, let's go focus in on what it's really the background and summary, and then put it in as an appendix so that people do know this is the facts. This is
That's
how-
not a bad idea.
Realize too that those numbers are going to change every year. So why do you even want it in there?
This is from a specific study. And so we cited the study.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So, and we usually use the American, American
Census.
survey.
Okay.
And that does change because those are estimates, but we'll state the year that we're using it from, and they don't change a lot. So this is come from a specific study that we did, that we cited.
Mhm.
Janet,
Yes, go ahead, Ken.
I was just trying to, if I was trying to put myself in a position of someone who wanted to apply for this, and I'm not interested in that
Okay.
section at all as an applicant. I'm trying to think, how would a person approach this that needed to get the stuff done? I'd make it as concise as possible and help them along with the process, I guess.
Well, one of the things that we have to do, and my housing rehab, when I give somebody an application, I give them a set of guidelines, and the guidelines have been approved by the select board, and
Right.
they are very, very specific about how the program runs. And yes, this thing can go on as an appendix, but the specifics about how they appeal the program, how they, how it's run, how they're rated, all that has to be handed to them. Now, most people don't read it, but when they call me and say, but Leisha, I want this, and I say, but you, and I even sometimes have them sign that they received this, okay? So that they can't come back and say, you never told me that. Because that's how you keep a clean program.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it has to, yeah, it has to be available for them to go ahead and review. So it makes sense. And, your question with regards to bringing it to town meeting or select board, I know that it's got to go select board to keep them aware, but also too, I would make sure that it goes through Robert's office and town council, because we don't want to state something that is going to be of issue.
I think that depending upon who the audience is for this brochure, who's going to receive this, if you're trying to get to all different audiences with one brochure, this works, because there's a lot of people that might be looking at this and they see those numbers and they say, oh my God, look at this. This is unbelievable. Because that's my first feeling when I see those numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's very good, except I would put it,
Yeah,
can you turn your volume down?
Got it.
Yeah. We're sitting next to each other on two Zooms here, so I would put it more in a chart.
Okay. That would be easier for people. And
Mhm.
and we're just trying to state, the purpose of that is to state why the town needs it. Then
Right.
we go to our objective with what we need, but I can put it in, let me talk to Alan. We'll figure out a way to put it and make it user friendly. Remember, these are just the guidelines. You're approving a program and you're approving all different parts of that program. But the town needs guidelines for people to know how that program works.
Right, but this paragraph gets across to anyone who looks at it that there's a need for what the program is.
Yes. Yes.
And like I say, we'll go ahead and we'll do some wordsmithing, throughout. Everybody can go ahead and look at it. Do you want to talk about some of the other highlights, Alicia?
Well, I'm very happy to hear that. So we need to go to the select board, we need to go to the town manager's office, and we need to go to town council. So that has to be, I think my dates, anybody got any better idea on dates?
Yeah, just before we get to the dates, there's another in the third paragraph under that same section. Just where it says households receiving any federal or state tenant-based housing assistance are not eligible. What about households that possibly have applied for those programs but have not heard back yet? Are they still eligible to apply?
Thank you for catching that, Sean, because this is your decision. You can say they maybe got first month's rent, they maybe got last month's rent, and you still want to make them eligible. If they're on a waiting list for Section 8 or something like that, you can say they can still be eligible until Section 8 comes through. This is all the stuff that you guys are going to decide whether you want to allow them to be what requirements are you going to allow? I mean, are you going to say you can get some, RCAP money and get moved, and this will be rent to help, this will be a subsidy to help you with this. You can even say you have to apply for state and federal subsidies. And while you're waiting, you can do this, because then if they get their state or federal subsidies, then we'll take them off and put somebody new on.
How do we know that they've gotten those subsidies? Is there any report? Sorry, Ron. Is there any way of knowing that they've gotten those? Are we depending on people to report back?
There's contracts that we sign with the landlord, and there's contracts that we sign with people. I do this all the time. People can lie, but I ask them that if they are lying, and if they choose to lie to us, then they are liable. It's there is, there are people that cheat, but we try to work, we got to do the best we can on the people that cheat. And most people don't sign things saying, no, I'm not lying. You think I'm funny, Pat.
I do, because you should spend a day in this office.
All right.
Okay.
Janet?
Yeah.
So
Go ahead, Ken.
I'm going to run this by Alicia and the others, but I'll tell you the reason I kind of like that sentence. And that's because the program is so small. And it may be that we do want to focus on people that are not eligible or already receiving other assistance and help them along the way, rather than someone who's, already in a program of some sort. So that's just my own thought.
Well, I mean, when we went ahead and asked the town for, to create the housing trust as well as the monies for a housing trust, we did say that it's going to be those that have fallen through the cracks, those that are not available for any type of state or federal support. I think this is another part of that crack, if I could call it that, because they have signed up and requesting Section 8, but they have not received it because the waiting period is like, 3 to 5 years. So, and
Some of it's 10 years.
Yeah. And I think, and there's a clear distinction between not being eligible and then being on a waiting list for things. So I don't know how the rest of the trust feels, but my opinion would be that if there's something added in there, that the caveat is if you are awaiting other programs, you're still eligible. And once those programs kick in, you would no longer receive the benefit. If you're able to word it some way that passes legal muster, then that would be my thought process.
And I created a document that says that they sign that they will notify us if they receive. I know, Pat, you don't believe me, but once they sign documents that they're not lying, they're a little better.
It's not that I don't believe you. It's just that I don't see people necessarily stepping up and going, I got my Section 8, I'm going to pay the rest, when Ayer's already giving me $500 a month towards that rest. That's
Well,
all.
I think we're going to line up. That's with the landlord, and the landlord, I don't think actually wants to cross the town for the most part.
True. Yep, that's true. Okay, we're good.
all right, are there any other type of highlights that you want to bring, Alicia?
I'm so glad Sean caught that, because there's so much here that I wanted to ask everybody's opinion on that. So how do people feel? Are they in agreement with Sean that they can be on a waiting list, but they can't be in a program?
Yes.
I would be in agreement that being on a waiting list.
I think it's a good idea, because if they get accepted in one, we can also always stop our program.
Yes.
Well, it pretty much says right there, if you're receiving it, but if you're on a waiting list, you haven't received anything yet. So we're not excluding anybody on a waiting list.
Mm-hmm. I'll
Just-
just make.
But I do think it should be stated so that they don't think if they've applied that they wouldn't be eligible to apply. So I think adding a statement that says,
Got it.
they, if they're waiting on approval, they are still eligible to apply.
Right. Good.
All right,
Everybody good?
all right.
On page 2, the second paragraph, or the second paragraph, which is the section on the last 2 paragraphs in section 2. This was, I used the format from Boxborough, and they had their senior center working with people to help them get programs, get other aid, that sort of thing. we don't have anybody. I just have the, my office running the program, managing the program. And my question here was, do we need it to take it to town meeting, or do you think it's enough with the Board of Selectmen, the town council, and the town manager's office, and your approval, the trust's approval?
Well, town meeting agreed that there should be a trust that was going to do
Yeah.
this.
I
So
agree with Cindy.
why would we go back?
Right. I think that the town meeting gave approval by creating the trust.
Works for me.
The rental assistance was part of one of the goals of the housing trust. So I agree. I don't think it needs to go to town meeting. And I think that delays us because I wouldn't see it going in the fall and waiting till the spring. Doesn't
Yes.
seem right.
Other one on this one is that we are talking about hiring a town social worker at hopefully soon. And I think that we would amend this document here to say that these families would be checking in with the town social worker. And that's another way that you can find out what's going on with them. Now they can check in with my office and I will be talking to them and everything. But I think it would be better if they had a town social worker that was checking in with them, seeing how they were working through programs, seeing what was going on. But that has to happen after we get a town social worker.
Agreed.
You could include the language now, couldn't you? It's just redundant. That this,
Well, but
to make the document complete, you could say, the Office of Affordable, like Office of Community and Economic Development, or social worker as applicable or something
Okay.
like that,
or
just so you have it done.
And if you want to, instead of just saying social worker, you can also put in like maybe case manager. I'm trying to think, Shirley's going
Yes,
ahead and,
Yeah, even designated agent.
correct,
Oh.
I like that.
Mm-hmm. And to tell you the word why that would work is because if it's a senior, we can make the designated agent the senior center.
I think Kate would go.
Yeah, I
along
think
with
that designated agent gives you a lot of leeway into whoever the trust decides is the person that is responsible for it.
That works. That's good. Thank you.
Mhm.
So, on the application process, I just got to make sure I've got the right website for the Ayer. I was just guessing that that's the address for the Ayer website. I have to double check that.
You are correct.
All
So,
right,
Would it be, so the way the dates are listed now, you would just change the document every year to update what the dates were, or like in case it falls on a Sunday or Saturday or Sunday or something, or?
they fall on, I'm not in love with that January 1st date because that's not a great date. I was just thinking, oh my God, are we going to go to February 1st? And we probably do need to go to February 1st because I think we need one more meeting to really put this all together, have everybody really review it for a week on their own, come back, make sure.
Yeah, because even if, I mean, I like the 45-day window. I think when you get into like December 15th as the closing date, then you've got the holidays and it might get tricky with approval. And I know this first round is only 5 families, but moving forward, that time frame might be a little bit tight to approve families.
So what dates do people want?
February 1st?
45 days application process or 60 days?
I like. Oh, good.
If you're going to switch to February 1st, I think a 60-day would be fair. And also, given my experience with people in applying for things, there's going to be missing documents that you'll need to contact them for. And so if there's a month in between, when it's due and when it's approved, that might be more beneficial.
Okay. So February 1st, 60 days. And, okay, so if we do February 1st, we still need to get that out November 1st almost then, or November 15th. Could we get it out November 15th, have the
I don't think we have enough time with, trying to get a meeting in between.
yeah,
Plus
and we-
also to having town manager, select board, as well as town council review it. I mean, today's the 13th of October. That gives us a month. Within a month, turning something around quickly, especially with town meeting coming up on the 25th, they're really not going to have a chance to look at it until the beginning of November.
let's do 45 days. And make it, the end date is January 2nd for them getting applications in. Is that just bad? Because then we can do November 15th that we post it.
Will we be able to have this document all completed by November 15th?
That's a month. I think we could.
And if one of the things we're anticipating is, you know, people needing additional documents, having the final 2 weeks be around the holidays worries me a little bit. Having a January 1st deadline, if somebody runs into issues, they might not have, I mean, I don't know how the town hall is over that time, but it might be harder to get people
Well,
to
I
help.
will allow them to put their applications in with their documents, but if they're missing a document, I'm not going to throw them out. I'll give them 2 weeks to get me documents. That means that if it's January 2nd and it's February 1st, I then can chase documents for a month.
Yeah, and just for this year, it would have to be January 3rd. The 2nd is a Sunday. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
And then the process also, we as the trust will have to approve the 5, whoever the 5 applicants are. Is that correct? So we would need to meet
In January.
in January.
And they will all be blind. I will be giving them a code number. So you will be, and I will be giving them ratings on that rating scale that comes later on. So you might say, Alicia, did you check this? And, you know, show us how you came up with this and how did you rate these people and all that kind of stuff. And then you would approve it.
So just if we're talking timeframes here, so if we're looking at the 3rd for being application deadline, and then giving them until the 17th for missing documents, and then the trust would meet sometime between the 17th, around the 17th to the 24th, somewhere in there, in order to approve so that everything could be done by February 1st. Does that sound
Yeah.
about right?
Yeah. And trust me, documents from the landlord and documents from the, I mean, 5, you say, oh, it's not very many people, 5, it'll be a bear. But it's doable.
Okay. That
So-
sounds fair, I think.
So we're saying, okay, let me get this right. You're saying a 45-day application period that starts November 15th and ends when?
January 3rd, so it's not going to be 45 days. I'll make all the numbers work.
Okay, so November 15th to January 3rd, and then an additional 2 weeks to get in additional documents, but we're not going to say that.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And that's also the 2 weeks that Alicia would do her ratings on each one of
Right.
these.
Right. And then there'll be a meeting where we'll vote, and then the program will start February 3rd. Is that correct?
February 1st, I think, if
Oh,
you.
3rd, Sean said.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, February 1st. It's a Tuesday, so it works.
I'm sorry. Oh, so, okay,
And then they can, that's their first month's rent,
okay,
the first month that they're in the rental program.
okay.
Alicia,
So,
Janet,
Yeah,
I haven't chimed in on anything. I agree with everyone what's said. My only question is about the actual checks. how quick does it take to get a check out of town hall?
I have to do it in 2 weeks, so we'd be cutting checks, but I'll make arrangements so that I'll double check the warrant process, and I can possibly have handwritten checks if I have to on this for the first time around.
Oh.
That's going to be a little bit. I'm going to have to get the checks cut, but once we know what we're doing and we're working with the landlords, then they'll just go into the warrant in the middle of the month. They'll get cut, sent to my office. I will then send them out on the correct day.
I was trying to think of between the time the trust approves it and the time you have to get the checks written, if that was going to be enough time for you, that's all.
I'm going to have to look at the warrant process before I
Okay.
can tell you that. But I can make arrangements with Lisa and.
Well, and I think, Alicia, you have many more years of experience with this than what I see in my other job. But usually landlords, when they know that there's a guarantee, like coming from the state or from a town, they're a little bit more flexible with that portion of the rent being a little bit late. And so for that first month, they may be a little bit more forgiving.
Yes. If we need to, I can say, oh, we're not going to have your check till the 3rd on February, but after that, we'll be on the 1st every month. And please just forgive us on this one. And Sean's right, that they know they're getting that money, so they're very happy about that.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so do we want to go ahead and keep reviewing the document, or have everybody review it and then get feedback either through emailing back some comments or
There's a couple more things I would like and then anybody can reach out and say, Alicia, what about this? But there's a couple things I want a little bit of input on.
all right, tell me what page.
Did you want to say something, Janet?
I just, what page? I'll go ahead and,
Janet, on page 3, number 5. That we talked a little bit about this. So they're not to receive any other rental assistance, federal or state, and you all agreed to that, correct? But they can be on waiting lists.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then we're making the management office, the town office of community and economic development.
I would maybe also to this number 7, add in there that other part about the designated
Right.
designee
Representative.
designated agent. That's it.
Okay. That's good.
I did have a question on number 8 there. So it says must be at least a tenancy at will lease. So was this like something standard from like what you saw in other programs? They're on a month-to-month lease?
At least a month to month. They could have a year lease, and that's
Okay.
fine too. That's the lease that they have. It can't be, they have to have some kind of lease.
So they have to have a written document.
They
even
have
if
to have
it's
a
just-
written document.
Okay, and then that goes to like my other question. If a landlord agrees to participate in the ARAP program, what protections, if any, does the renter have, like by being part of this program?
Well, it goes on and talks, and I did this so quickly. It goes on and talks about the landlord increasing the rate. And those are all some of the things I would like you guys to, that's something about having this lease where we have an agreement as to, do you want to make it that this is an agreement for 1 year, that their rent is X? Or,
Yeah, I kind of, especially given what we've been experiencing the last couple of months, if the landlord, I don't know if it's an overreach to ask the landlord, we're guaranteeing that they're going to get a month's worth of rental assistance from the town, that they agree to a year lease with the tenant. I don't know if that's overreach or if that's reasonable.
Are you still talking about number 8 there, Sean?
Yeah, I'm just, yeah, if a program, if a family is going to get into this program and it's like, okay, they know they're going to get $500 a month in rental assistance from the town, but they're on a month-to-month lease. And 3 months into it, they find themselves in a situation where the landlord's going to evict them. Like,
In part of the appendix C does have the rent paid by the tenant to the landlord. There are dollar amounts. Let me move down to that.
oh, okay, maybe I didn't get that far.
I don't know right here if that sort of locks it in. Maybe that's where we need to state.
One of the things is say they come onto this program and they're in a full lease, but the lease renews 3 months into their program.
Right.
I think that it would be one of those things where we would request the landlord to make it clear whether he's going to have a rental increase or not. And this is, I don't know about this. What do our realtors suggest? Ron, Pat?
Ron, you're on mute.
We were having a side discussion. Sorry. I have some ideas, but I want to find the paperwork before I talk about it. And I will talk to you, Alicia, about that and bring it to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you think landlords will be interested in this program?
Well, I think,
Ron, you're still muted.
yeah. Yeah, I think some landlords will. I think it'll depend upon, are we inspecting these rentals to meet the standards? Because there's a section in the procedure here that we're looking at that speaks about the apartment has to be to certain standards.
That includes having smoke detectors.
Right, so who's going out to do that? Are we just taking someone's word?
I am that was your decision on the trust. We can just have them say that they have this, this, and this, and they sign, or we can have an inspector go in and make sure they have smoke detectors, hot water, heat.
Right, because, probably at least 50% of the units in town they have lead.
Did we say anything about lead? I mean,
Well, no, but it's one of the standards, if you have a child under the age of 6.
I know.
If
The landlords are taking their property, it's a great risk to allow a child in under 6 with lead paint because
Oh, yeah, I understand, yeah.
So,
Right, and you can't sign that away because it's a law.
yeah.
So,
We can write this to say that it doesn't have any outstanding
Code violations?
code violations and that they sign that it has to have heat, all those things. I mean, I can work with Ron and Pat to just figure out how to put that in there.
that's what I was going to speak to, is that in the documentation I have, the landlord has to provide, example, smoke certificate, occupancy permit, lead certificate if it applies, all those kinds of things. And that's the paperwork that I want to dig out and bring to Alicia, because I think it would be helpful in this whole process.
They do that anyway when they're renting with you, don't they?
No.
Okay.
Every landlord does not do that. And
Okay.
now the community teamwork program, the RAFT program, the Section 8 have all started to require that. So if there's a unknown lead issue, then they won't allow a child The Section 8 will not allow a child to move in. But if somebody's already in there, then that's a different situation. Then we'd have to look at that. But there is all documentation that is provided to landlords that they have to complete. What is the heat source? Who is the electric company? Do you have an occupancy permit? How old is the occupancy permit? When's the last time the town has looked at the unit?
Mhm.
Is it habitable? And sometimes just as realtors, Ron and I go in and say, yes, it's habitable, it's a nice unit, we take pictures and that sort of thing for those people.
My assumption was we'd do something very similar to something like that, that it doesn't have to be a heavy duty, especially if we sign that the town is not liable for, or the trust is not liable for errors and omissions on this or something like that. But we have got the landlord who says, yes, here's my occupancy permit, here's my, smoke
Exactly.
certificate, here's this and here's this. And if we've got children under 6, we probably need a lead certificate.
Yeah, so this would be
Right.
something that it's a list that Pat, you can get to Alicia and then we can put it in as being part of the.
Absolutely.
guidelines. All right, I think that
That
works
sounds
out. Okay, moving along. I want to go ahead and Alicia, is there anything else within this document that you want the,
Yes, I chose 50%. That's the median, the low median income, that they couldn't be above 50%, the AMI. Boxborough did it at 60. I felt that we have plenty of people at 50% and under. So I used the 50% number. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
I'm fine with it.
Okay, so as we're going through these documents, you'll see I've got some, yeah, we did that one, okay. I did all the numbers except for, yeah, we've got the standard work for right of appeal, rental burden, right of appeal. We've got the applicant pool, how they're gonna be, and the wait list, and their privacy, how we're gonna keep them private. We've got how we're gonna market it, who we're gonna send out information, how we're gonna send out information to people. Now, so I broke this down so we can do the numbers and get them points. And I did it on 50%, but we're doing 30, 50, 80, and 100% to figure out how to do the points. The last chart on Appendix B, this is just backing up Appendix A. And I had a conversation. I have not done those numbers. They're a real pain in the neck, but I will do those numbers because I talked with Alan and he goes, no, Alicia, because it's just it's a reiteration. I can do the formulas and come up and rate everybody with Appendix A. Appendix B just puts it out there for everybody else. And I was going to ask you guys if I had to do Appendix B, or can we just go with Appendix A? And do you understand what I'm talking about on this?
I think we can just go with A.
Because all I'm doing is showing how those formulas break down into those point systems.
Yeah, there's no reason to.
Yeah, it just seemed reiteration.
You've got the main chart, you've got the formulas. If somebody wants to do it, they can do it and they can come up with what's on there. There's no reason to have it.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. Also, you have to change all the numbers in Appendix B because they say like to 15,870, and then it should be 15,871. Yeah, and that's just a lot of work to go through.
Yes. Yes. And we're gonna, and I have to do the formula, and they have the formula, they can figure it out. And
Right.
then with the formula, we're gonna come up with exactly where they are. So if I find that it doesn't work and I need Appendix B, I'll let you know, but I think it works.
okay?
Okay,
For a novice, so the idea here is if someone has a lower income, you're going to give them more points in general. That's just the typical approach.
yeah.
And the people who get the highest score are going to be the ones that are eligible for the assistance, I presume.
Correct.
Okay, based on all
And
the points. Okay,
And if you notice that you can get points for being elderly, you can get points for having children, you can get points for all different things. If you go back to,
got it.
and you get points for how income, how low your income is. And that's what Appendix A is to give you a point system.
Mhm.
And I gotta read through this again. I got all the numbers to work, but I didn't get Appendix B done. And so I'll read through it, see if I need it, but if I don't need it, I'm gonna deep six it.
That's what it looks like the committee or the board said. Yep,
Okay?
all right. So again, we'll go ahead and review it too, and if there's any other type of edits.
Under, sorry, Jen, just for clarification, up under table 1, letter C, the unit eligibility, are we going to add in there, after Pat provides you with those things, what housing unit must meet minimum safety standards, what those safety standards will be?
Yes, I think.
Okay, okay, all right, thank you.
Sounds good. All right, so again, we'll go ahead and send any type of comments
me
and
do-
such. Go ahead.
Sorry, Janet, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Mhm.
Let me do a run through and then this week and get it out to everybody. And that'll give everybody a long time to go through it for a week or two and then get it back to us.
Sound good, taking the comments that were made tonight and put in, like I say, some of those edits. Does that
Yes.
sound about right, Alicia? Okay. All right.
So
we'll
do
get-
we need to meet again prior to November 15th? Because that would be around the time that we'd be scheduling next month's meeting. Do we need to meet sooner so that we can approve this before applications go out, or?
I would believe so. So do we want to try to meet, like say, around the week of November 8th?
Well, could we set up a first meeting for November 8th? And then if we can approve it at that point, we can set a second meeting? Does that work for people?
And
day?
would,
That date works for me.
Works for me.
would this just be, you just want the board or the committee as well?
Whatever people want.
I would love to have more voices because, you know, Ron and Ken have a lot of experience that I don't have. I mean, sorry to rope you guys into yet another meeting, but
Oh, I agree, that'd be good. So we're
I'm
looking,
happy to chip in and take a look at it and talk to Alicia, and I'll join in any meeting. No problem for me.
I mean, if you guys can't come to the meeting, if you could at least look it over and give us your input, I would really appreciate it.
I think that sounds good. Yeah, November 8th, we want to meet, like say at 6 o'clock.
Sure.
Alicia, I'll go ahead and I'll check with Carly to see if it's available and such. And then I'll just send everybody a update, let them know. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing the document.
Alicia, thank you so much for that. All the work you did on it so far. It's
Yeah.
looking very good. Just a couple of little tweaks there.
Mhm.
A-
Right.
As long as it's what everybody's looking to do, if they think that we're in the right direction on this,
Yes.
I think it'll make a big difference for 5 families.
That's a month.
Yep, sounds about right too. All right, before I go on to the next item in the agenda, like I say, is there any other public comments from the public that is connected? Okay, so I'm just moving on where the next item on the agenda is the training session set calendar. Because of everything going on between, like I say, the town meeting, November's meetings with regards to this application and such, and then the holiday schedule for being, say December timeframe. I think getting something for the year 2022 would be good. Looking for next year instead of trying to get something in November. But if everybody's okay with that, I think I'd like to go ahead and push that back until hopefully maybe even January, February, depending upon weather-wise, but see whether or not someone can go ahead, especially with what we're going to be talking about, Air Commons, is so that we can get more education material out for individuals on affordable and little a affordable and big A affordable. Does that sound like good for setting the calendar?
Sounds good to me.
Yes, sounds good.
Okay, next item is just reminding people, town meetings coming up, October 25th. And it would be good, I think there's 8 items on the warrant. Everybody should have received their copies one way or another. I know that they emailed it out. It's available on the website. I know there are, I'm trying to remember some of the few of them, but just that's, again, just a reminder. And then, pardon? All right. And then the next is just old business. I know that many of us were at the select board meeting. I thought that was a great presentation by the gentleman from NOAA. I love the 3D look, that they were able to go ahead and show. They did handle some of the questions from Devon's Crest very well, knowing that it can't be a sort of moving in from one complex right directly to another. They will look at Air residents. I think it's part of a ruling that they do have first choices, but there's not all 106 would be available for Air residents. They do have to keep it open. But I think it was very educational. And Alicia, have we heard anything with regards to an acceptance letter from the state or anything?
Carly and I are putting together our comments, so I wanted to ask the committee and the trust if anybody had any comments or concerns, so that they want to include it in that letter.
We did
Do I-
send a, go ahead.
I just had a resident reach out to me just in regards to parking, and I think I already know the answer, but what they're proposing for the number of spaces, does that fall within the requirements of the town
I think it's
for residential?
car short. What do you think, Ken?
Well, I think the learning experience here is that, they go to the Board of Appeals, and the reason a 40B is designed to avoid, local regulations that are in place. So the parking count that's in place that we may have as a standard may or may not apply to this project because it'll be waived.
Oh, okay.
It seemed to me what I saw was they were making an effort to have enough parking. I think they were pretty close to the 1.5 spaces I think that would require per.
Yeah, I think it was like 1.45.
Right.
So,
They
okay,
were close enough but they don't need to comply with.
okay. Thank you.
The biggest obstacle that I saw for them, and the obstacle they should be going for after first, of course, is conservation and the natural heritage, the habitat situation that I'm not sure that anyone knows about that, but there's a piece of habitat in there that's protected. So that's their real objective, is to get over that and figure all that out while they approach the Board of Appeals, with the application. But I would have liked to seen more of them presenting a schedule. But I guess they can't really come up with a schedule because there's so many other state agencies and financing. I think they mentioned there was going to be 8 different agencies potentially financing it. So that's a complicated thing to schedule. But certainly looks good.
Have they already purchased the property?
Well, I asked that question. I
I
was,
did too, and I didn't get an answer.
the question I asked, which was a little tricky, was if they were able to be comfortable if they were retain a control of the property during the process, and that they wouldn't lose it if they got stretched out too long. And the answer I got was pretty much that they were in control of the property. That's, I believe, what they said. Because I was concerned that if it took them a year to get things done, the seller might just say, wait a minute, this is too long, I got to put it on the market. But they seemed confident that they were controlling the
Okay.
property.
So they haven't bought it. But they
Kinda what-
haven't bought it, but they have sort of an
They bought
agreement.
it. They've got a PNS or something, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my understanding as well.
Yeah.
Is that they're confident that, and they do have control of the property.
And I
Right.
thought his response was pretty firm, that they do have control of the property.
That's what he said. That's what they said. I think it was the
Yeah.
way he responded.
I just didn't understand what that meant. I didn't know what have control means as opposed to I bought it, it's mine.
That's the language that's used throughout the development phase
Okay,
by developers, that, yeah, they're
Thank
not going
you.
to say they bought it because they're not going to buy it until everybody has everything in a row and it's a done deal. But they,
okay, thank
Well,
you.
like a MOU is done.
exactly.
So was there anything people were concerned about, or things that they want to say they really liked about it? Because comments and concerns is the letter, and we're putting together a letter of comments and concerns. And we can just say that the trust and the committee were viewed the project favorably and supported.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm
And
on with that.
And I know one thing that was made for, comments, and that's something else that was on the agenda is, being sure that they do have, the low income housing availability. And I know that they've got how many Section 8s? unit?
Nine.
Okay. Right, to make sure that stays as, as long as possible. I know
think-
the deed restrictions. Go ahead, Sean.
I was just gonna say, something I wasn't aware of and that I found interesting, and I think they did a pretty good job at, was explaining that, due to different funding sources is what kind of drives that decision of how many units are, for very low housing, how many are for vouchers, or whatever. So I think they did a pretty good job of explaining that. I know it wasn't what maybe was wanted to be heard, but I think it's an important part of the project is understanding that.
I think that people need to understand that this is a nonprofit, and this is where you will find projects that have very low income. A lot of 40Bs don't have the very low, they just have the moderate,
Right.
because it's hard to, basically, a very low income is a subsidized unit, because you cannot create that unit. That unit costs money to be there.
Right.
And if the person's only paying $300 or $600 rent, how are you supporting that unit? And that's what I think got lost with people, were saying, but we need more.
Correct. I agree 100%.
There was a Devon's Crest person who was asking about this and was confused when he said, you've got to go to your housing authority, because the housing authority is the one that handles our subsidized units. And there are family houses. Isaac Lane is all housing authority subsidized family units. And so this would, but Section 8 is federal subsidies. Much of what is in the housing authority is state subsidies.
Hmm. Okay,
The most impressive thing to me was that group is not their first rodeo. We're lucky to have a group like that come into our town. My experience is we've seen nothing like that come into the town of Ayer, and maybe other things in the past, which I won't name in particular, come in and said they're going to do this, they're going to do that, but they were never qualified. This is a qualified firm that has experience and has the right architect and has the right engineering and has the right funding. So that's a big deal for us. So based on that, I would definitely support it. a letter of support.
I agree with Ken.
Good.
I think we're very lucky that this firm chose this property or wants to do this property. And additionally, like, I know their conservation issue needs to be resolved for them, but in terms of like their development itself, it's extremely modern. It has a lot of energy efficiency in mind.
Awesome.
It
Solar.
looks beautiful.
That was a really, really strong point that, we went through this with Habitat, when we built Habitat. It really doesn't help a renter much if they're going to be in an inefficient, costly apartment for the energy side. These guys hit a home run if they can make it energy efficient and save that whole, because inevitably that's one thing that is going up beyond landlord control is the cost of producing energy. So yes, I'm really happy with the energy efficiency discussion. And that would make it so much better for people to know what their expenses are going to be after they move in as well in the future. So it's a good deal.
The one thing I would like a little bit more information on, because he talked about where his funding sources were. And when we were talking to Scott Shaw, who has moved on, he was talking to 300,000 from CPC. And this guy threw CPC out there as one of their funding sources. So I really want to know what they're thinking on that.
Oh,
It would be good for the, I'm not sure, Sean, if we could go out to Dan Van Skelwick or someone along those lines and say, look, based on what you see there, what do we anticipate for infrastructure improvements? For instance, do we need to put an 8-inch sewer line and run it 500 feet? So there's some groundwork, I think, that we potentially could do, through the select board and then through the DPW. So at least we'd know that they need an 8-inch water line with 3 hydrants around the property. He can do Dan Van Skelwick is so sharp, he could look at that site plan and tell you in a minute that they need 4 hydrants and they need this and that. And we would be able to figure out, paving destruction or whatever it might be. But at least know that if they came back and said, we need 250,000, that we'd know that's going to buy a certain amount of work. I don't know, just a thought.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good idea.
And they have a meeting with the land use, and so Dan's been involved in that conversation, and conservation has been involved in the conversation as well. And an interesting thing about conservation is they were talking about possibly, Joanne and I have been talking back and forth about what we could do, because they're actually pretty favorable on this whole project right now.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And talking about Fish and Wildlife possibly purchasing and maybe using some funds to get funds back into the project by getting the right of way or getting the land behind that is wetlands and things like that. So we're working on that.
And from what I understand, every one of the other departments, like say fire department and police department, have reviewed all the plans and such, and they've given their feedback as well. As they were happy with what they saw.
But
Mm-hmm.
the problem, until you actually have the full scale set of drawings, they're just concept plans, until you really see the deal with all the, it's just people trying to do the best they can with the concept plans and make some estimates. But and in this case, we put together a new wetland regulation in the town of Ayer to protect those buffer zones, and then they're going to ask us to work within the buffer zones, which is fine. It's all doable. So.
All right, so from what I get a sense from the trustee board as well as the committee, that yes, we are thumbs up with the project. And Alicia, you mentioned something about CPC. I'll just go ahead and say CPC discussed it as well and said definitely there'll be funding for the community housing projects. So Colleen shaking her head too, so that's a good sign. That means I was listening. No.
So I can go forward and tell them that CPC, Air Trust, Affordable Trust and Affordable Committee are all in support and don't have any, other than that they're in support, that is their comment. They don't have anything outstanding that they're concerned about right now.
No.
Okay. Excellent. All right, then, moving on with the other old business and Springtown meeting, we're gonna be looking for, additional funding. I believe the board's gonna come forward, looking for funding for the housing trust itself, and that will be something that would have to happen around the February time period. So just giving you guys a heads up that, would need, like I say, a public hearing. And so at least 2 weeks prior before the public hearing, an announcement's got to be made. So an application will need to go to the Community Preservation Committee, like I say, for February, so that it can make it to the warrant. All right. And then, like I say, for new business, I know that I'd like the committee to start looking at different opportunities that may be available for extremely low and low income housing opportunities, like where we might be able to, like I say, find either a building that can get renovated or whatever, because the CPC did state that they are willing to go ahead and keep funding as many of the housing projects as we can. I know it would be nice as well to, and from what I understand with regards to Habitat for Humanity, they've been having some tough time trying to get materials and such because of what's been going on with, not getting the supply and demand and such. So that's one thing I just wanted to put on the committee's plate of trying to come up with some ideas. Alicia, I know that I've asked Alan to look at some of the properties that are in town that are vacant. It would be good to try to see if there's something that we can use to renovate and at least use some of these properties that are just standing by and nothing's happening to them. So again, that was just new business that I just wanted to throw out to individuals.
Can
Jake,
I-
is there, all right, Jake, is there anything? Oh, go ahead, Alicia. I'm sorry.
Just 3 things, and this is just like really vague, okay? But when Scott Shaw left NOAA, he went on to another group and he sent just a volley of an email that he enjoyed working with us and all that kind of stuff. And if the town of Ayer thought that they had another property that might be work for something like this, he would be happy to bring it forward to his group. So that,
Who is-
what's that?
Who is this?
He was the original gentleman at NOAA who found the flag property and started this project with NOAA, but he's moved on to a different group. And he suggested that they might have some interest in doing some more work in air.
What? I'm sorry, what is his name?
Scott Shaw.
Thank you.
And I'll get the group for that he is now with too.
Okay.
So that we can just note that. Fitchburg Square keeps coming up. So
Is they got anything going there? They got to come to the Springtown meeting finally?
It's not coming yet, but all of a sudden Sheila Harrington has been bringing it up Fitchburg Square at a number of the Devon's Crest meetings, and it's been coming up at Mass Development in Devon's, and it's even come up at the State House. So, and most of Fitchburg Square, 85% of it is in old Air. I mean, in the Air part of Devon's.
Vicksburg Square.
Vicksburg Square, yes, sorry. And so that's another one. And if we had a parcel that we identified, we could put out an RFP for a nonprofit. So if the town owned a parcel or a building, we could put out an RFP for affordable housing development by a nonprofit. So those are all 3 different ways we could go at this.
So at the land use meetings that you have in the departments and such, is that one item that can be brought up?
We haven't identified any projects right now.
Not projects, but parcels.
Parcels. We haven't identified any parcels. That I thought, Robert, I'm not on that committee where, where we're talking about, I have to say, Pauline, you were the one who was so moved forward that whole habitat parcel on Central Street. And Pauline just never let that go. And I appreciate it because that's what happened. That's how that happened. And we need to identify other parcels that the town owns.
Madam Chair, Pauline here. Thank you, Alicia, for making that comment. Are there any properties in tax title now? Because that's how 76 Central came to be owned by the town.
I'm not aware of them, but I have not asked.
I mean, if that's a source for parcel availability. And that's exactly how, that's how that came to be. I'm not sure about the Shirley Street Habitat home, but there should be an annual review of those properties in tax title. And, they take a long time to get through the court, but once they do, they become the property of the town. And that's where parcels become available. So it would be worth the committee and trusts a time to ask the treasurer for that information. The treasurer gets the information from the clerk, and it should be an annual report.
And when does that annual report come out, Pauline? Do you know?
That would be up to the town clerk and the town treasurer.
All right.
Janet, just
Mhm.
a little follow-up to this. So you folks probably are aware that they've been looking for a parcel for senior center and it had little or no luck in that search. So that whole report is available. It talks about several parcels that they looked at. But I made a comment a while ago about the fact that we do own a lot of land. We own a lot of land on Brook Street. We own a lot of land on Washington Street where the schools are. But what I'm never aware of is whether there's an ability for the town to control any of the land that's already under the school department. For instance, all the land that faces, the conservation area that's on the Groton Shirley Road is town-owned land, but it's under the school department. So they had actually ran a road in there at one time and blasted through ledge to get that road. The road is closed, the back driveway. But there's a lot of land around that's under town control, and there's an open space report that's available. You can get it from conservation, I think is the person who actually has that open space report. It's either on their website or available. And MRPC also has it. Montechusett did a survey of all the parcels that are categorized as open space or otherwise, so.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and I'll send out an email to the town clerk and treasurer with regards to the tax title properties that might be available. And we'll go ahead and start, like I say, some of the discussions. Because again, if the town owns the property, then it would be nice to be able to create, new housing. And Pauline, did I misspeak? But I know that Habitat is still looking for doing another project here within Ayer.
Habitat would be thrilled to put a fourth house in Ayer. We've always I just volunteer, so I'm not a member, but Habitat has always been well received here. Back to the tax title for one thing, Janet, I believe the list is generated at the end of every calendar year. And it's supposed to be published in local newspapers. And it probably would also supposed to be published on the town website since it's a public document. I haven't looked in a very long time, but that's certainly easy enough to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, I'll go ahead and put that on as my to-do. So that gets us, like I say, at least starting the discussions of trying to find what other type of opportunities are available. All right, does anybody have anything else with regards to the meeting? Again, Jake, anything else you want to get covered?
I have nothing further to add. If anybody from the Housing Trust would like to add anything, now is a great opportunity.
I'm seeing a whole batch of head shaking.
Good.
Okay, no, that's good. That's good. No problem. All right, and nobody from the committee? All right, Jake, do you want to go ahead and close your meeting?
Yes.
I'll make a
Someone wanna-
motion to adjourn the Air Affordable Trust portion of the meeting.
Thank you very
Second.
much. Would like to make a motion to adjourn the Air Affordable Housing Trust of the meeting.
Second that. And then Jake, just call roll call,
Can I do a roll call, please?
and then just call each member. Yep.
All right. So Cindy,
Aye.
James, James.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Sean,
Aye.
Colleen,
Aye.
and then Pauline.
Yes.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right,
I'll make a
Well-
motion to join during the Affordable Housing Committee meeting.
Second.
all right, let's go ahead, do the roll. Ken,
Aye.
Ron,
Yes.
all right, James,
Aye.
and the chair says aye, so the committee meeting also has been adjourned.